And welcome to University of Iowa softball for the beautiful day of May 6, 2022 from Bob Pearl Field on the campus of University of Iowa. I'm Jerry Koala. It's the final Big Ten regular season matchup for both the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Purdue Boilermakers. Iowa comes in with a 20-29 overall record and is 2-18 in the Big Ten, whereas the Purdue Boilermakers come in with a 22-29 record, and they have 5 wins and 14 losses. In the Big Ten, a key weekend for both of these teams, really, but especially for Iowa, as Iowa has to take care of business. They've got to sweep the Purdue Boilermakers to have any shot at all of getting into the Big Ten Conference Tournament this next week. That begins Wednesday at Michigan State. Going to have head coach Renee Gillespie here coming up shortly, but our game here this afternoon is sponsored by Iowa City Tire. Andy Miller, the new owner there, had a chance to talk with him a week ago. Want to certainly thank him for everything that he's done for us here on broadcasting land in this University of Iowa and their support of all University of Iowa athletics. So here we go with Iowa City Tire at 410 Kirkwood Boulevard, sponsoring today's Iowa Hawkeye softball game.
Talking with Andy Miller, the new owner of Iowa City Tire here in Iowa City. And Andy, first I want to congratulate you on the new ownership of the tire store, but as well as thank you for the connection that you have provided for Iowa City Tire and the University of Iowa.
Well, thanks, John. Iowa City Tire has always been a big supporter of the University of Iowa athletics, mostly with the wrestling program. I think we're pretty synonymous with the wrestling program. We do a lot of radio advertising, a lot of advertising at the events, but with the changes to name, image, and likeness, it allowed us the opportunity to have a little more broad stroke with the University of Iowa athletes. And based on some of our customers being female student athletes and us all being girl dads here, we decided that this was an opportunity for us to really branch out and reach out to some of those other programs that may not get the recognition that football and wrestling get. And we came up with this idea that we want to support, not only the softball program, but the field hockey program is big for us, and the women's swimming and diving. So, again, it all means a lot to us.
So when people come to Iowa City Tire, you have a unique experience. Everybody has a unique experience, but Iowa City Tire really reaches out and grabs onto your customer. Talk a little bit about that and what it means to you, as an owner of this tire store.
So, we provide service here. So our name is a little misleading. It's Iowa City Tire and Service, but the overwhelming majority of what we do is service automotive vehicles. So our motto, our mantra, we changed to Iowa City Tire and Service, where service actually comes first. That we want to mean, yes, obviously automotive repair is a part of it, but what comes first for us is customer service, and that means the minute you walk in the door, you are made to feel like it's the 100th time you've been here, and it's all been positive. We know your name, we know your vehicle, we know why you're there, we enjoy the conversation that we get to have, we get to know our customers, we know their kids, we know what they're into, we know their activities. It's really, I don't want to say a family type environment, but it's a really communal type environment where we really care about our community, and that's our customer base.
I think, because cars are being built, they're much more efficient, but they're being built where only a few amount of people can work on them, which good or bad or indifferent. How does that affect what you were just talking about when you bring those people in? Because, people are really kind of unsure about their automobile when something goes wrong.
Sure. It's our job to make sure that our technicians are fully trained. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars every year to make sure that we have the latest equipment, the latest training. Our guys, we will actually close the shop for a number of days to attend training wherever it is in the country, and we feel that it's important that if it's going to make us better, if it's going to make us more viable to our customers and more viable to new customers, we're certainly not afraid to make that type of investment. And I think we've shown that over the last 9 months of ownership that, providing that level of service, again, from the technician side, but also the customer service side, is there's no cost too great for that.
You talk about the University of Iowa and the sports as they change in our lives, and the connection that you have with them. Talk a little bit more about that and some of the athletes that you've been able to be around and see how they respond to maybe kids that you know of, because they look up to some of those athletes.
Again, it's I coach youth softball. I've been doing it for a number of years, and softball's better than baseball. Just want to put that out there. As a baseball player of 20 years, softball's better than baseball. With the University of Iowa being so close by and having the young women that I've been able to be around for the last 6 years, again, it's wildly important for me to be able to provide them positive female role models and, somebody that's tangible, somebody that they can see and talk to. A number of years ago, I took the first team that I ever coached to meet Megan Gustafson. I set it up with the University of Iowa the night that they were announcing they were retiring her jersey and they were receiving her Naismith Award. They had a ceremony at Carver. I had arranged for 20 minutes of private time with the team that I was coaching and Megan. The look on those little girls' faces was priceless. They were in heaven. They saw somebody that they had seen on TV that was a goddess to them, and they were able to spend minutes with her, talking with her, asking her questions, and those kids still talk about that to this day, and that's what's important to me.
And think about the entire world of University of Iowa sports. Think about the athletics itself, Andy, how it's improved all the way around, not just as a sport, but how they work and deal with the community and how they draw everybody together. How does that affect you and what you do here?
Well, I mean, Iowa City Tire is a part of the community. The University of Iowa is a part of the community. I mean, I think a lot can be said historically looking at how all businesses in Iowa City are affected by the highs and lows of the University of Iowa athletic programs. Just ask any bar owner during football season. If we're good, they're great. If we're bad, they're not so good. It's just a big part of what we do here, and to have access to the coaches and to the athletes as everyday people. Again, it gets us back to that whole communal sense, and I think all of the athletes and certainly all of the coaches appreciate what we have here in our small little town, but makes us feel a little bit bigger when we have somebody like that to cheer for.
Yeah, and it just enlarges the notion of community.
Absolutely.
All right, Andy, thank you very much again for the sponsorship of University of Iowa softball. Best of luck to you in your future here as the owner of Iowa City Tire.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Now we're going to get ready for our national anthem. We go to public address announcer Kelly Neff. And the guy you just heard from, Andy Miller, is out there to throw the first pitch out today as Iowa City Tire, located in the 410 Kirkwood Avenue here in Iowa City, just off of Gilbert Street, out to throw the first pitches. He represented Iowa City Tire. Brand new owner, but he had worked with the Brown family that had owned Iowa City Tire prior to him coming along, and Andy, just a wonderful gentleman in Iowa City and a great supporter of University of Iowa athletics.
Performing our national anthem is Sam Hoying. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
Talking with University of Iowa head softball coach Renee Gillespie, and you don't realize how much you miss being at home to play until you come home to play.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we walk in this field and you know you're home, you got your home fans, and just the excitement of being here. It changed the whole course of the game. We've got the band coming in today. We're very excited about having a big crowd today, and it's wonderful to be in front of our fans.
Now, this is a team that is coming off a win over a really good Northern Iowa softball team on Wednesday, and it's something that, we've discussed and you've seen all season long, a team that is so close to winning. It finally was able to get over that hump on Wednesday.
Yeah, they just had a great game up in UNI. I think they went up there relaxed, very focused on just doing the little things that day, and we had great performances out of Emma that started the game with us. She got through the lineup, and then being able to come in with Kat to close up, and she had probably the best game she's had all season long, just being able to shut them down. And between those two pitches, we only had 5 hits, and they did their job on the mound for us.
So when you go to determine which pitcher you want to use, especially in the freshman, is it such as a rotation, or is it just something within you that you decide might be good for this particular pitcher, like you did for Emma?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is just seeing who we're going up against and what their strengths are. We try to, we're so different with the 5 pitches we have. We can do a lot of different things, so we look at the one that kind of matches up the best with the team we're playing.
That is head coach Renee Gillespie as we get ready for the first game of the 3-game series between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Purdue Boilermakers from Bob Pearl Field on the campus of the University of Iowa. I'm Jerry Koala. It's the regular season series finale for both Iowa and the Purdue Boilermakers. Iowa again coming in at 20-29 in an overall record and 2-18 in the Big Ten. And for Purdue, they're 22-29 and are 5-14 in the Big Ten. And as I'd mentioned at the outset of this broadcast, the Hawks need to sweep Purdue to have any chance of making the Big Ten Conference Tournament. So that means win today, win tomorrow, and a win on Sunday. The Hawks put Denali Lecker in the circle to begin this softball game today to face the Purdue Boilermakers. And at the plate for Purdue is Rachel Becker. Becker, an all-conference performer from the last 2 years, and she's done well hitting for the Purdue Boilermakers. She, if the season were to end today, would have the second best batting average in Purdue history at .381. She's hitting at .421 coming into the game with 59 hits and 140 at-bats is Rachel Becker. She's up in the count of 2-1 Here's the 2-1, and the left-handed Rachel Becker rips it between Sophia Morris and Grace Baines at short and third, and so she with a leadoff single to begin this game for the Purdue Boilermakers. And for Becker, it's her 60th hit on the season. She had 13 doubles, 3 triples, and she's hit 5 home runs, so the type of player you want to have lead off because she's going to make things happen. Alex Echezarreta will come into the right-handed batter's box for the Purdue Boilermakers. Alex, a senior, batting .333. Here's the first pitch to her that's called strike one. Umpires for today. Behind the plate is Jason Smith. Down the first base line is Charles Blackwell, and Mike Hernandez is down the third base line. Umpiring crew today for this Big Ten regular season finale. Here is the 0-1. That is now 1-1 strike. Grace Baines playing third. Sophia Morris at short. Sammy Diaz at second. Kanalena Burns is at first. Denali Lecker in the circle, and it's Marissa Peak behind the plate. Here's Becker on down to second base for an attempt on a stolen base, in which coming into the game, she was 6 of 7. Well, she's now 6 out of 8 as a perfect throw from Marissa Peak to Sophia Morris, a one-hopper that Morris grabs and puts right down in front of second base as Rachel Becker is caught stealing. And that's the first out for Purdue here in the top of the first inning. Alex Echezarreta is at the plate with a 2-1 count on her. Here is the 2-1 that she hits out to right field. It's right down the right field line. Hustling forward is Nia Carter. Gets it. Nice hustle, turn and wheel, and a throw that she throws right to Sophia Morris at second base. That keeps Echezarreta from stretching that single into a double. So she on first base with a single. It's back-to-back singles, except there is one out as Rachel Becker caught stealing. So Echezarreta with her 40th hit on the year brings up Tarina Jones Jones, right field, freshman, batting .239. Here's the first pitch from Denali Lecker. Pitch that is off the plate. So it's ball one. Great crowd here today. Beautiful weather, the best weather they've had all season long. Every other home game that they've played has been temperature in the 40s, winds at 10 to 20, if not 20 to 30, sometimes 30 to 40 miles per hour. Here is the 1-0 that's inside on Tarina Jones. Current temperature here in Iowa City is right at 60 degrees. 64 degrees with the wind out of the east-northeast at 15 miles per hour. And here's one that's bounced right back to Denali Lecker in the circle. She immediately wheels and throws to second base to Sophia Maris to get the force at second on Alex Zareta. But they cannot complete the double play, and so Tarina Jones will be on first base with a fielder's choice. Incidentally, I was told that Tarina Jones' father is a former University of Iowa football player from back in the early 2000s. C.J. Jones, offensive lineman for head coach Kirk Ferentz, one of his first couple of years. That'll bring up Jade Moy. Moy, freshman second baseman, a .253 hitter with 39 hits and 154 at-bats, 6 doubles, 4 triples, and she has bashed 3 home runs on the season. Ahead in the count of 1 ball and no strikes. Runner at first, 2 outs. Here is the 1-0. That is now called strike 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Denali making her 14th start in the season, 36th appearance, has thrown 126 in the 3rd innings. She has thrown more innings for this Iowa pitching staff than any pitcher. Here's the 1-1 off speed, and it's fouled back down the right field line. 126 in the 3rd innings pitched. Denali has given up 145 hits, 110 runs, 86 of them earned. So she's got a very high 4.77 ERA. She's walked 45 and struck out 66. Batters are hitting at a .274 clip against her. And she's ahead in the count here on Jade Moy, the freshman second baseman. Number 4 hitter in the lineup at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Purdue already with 2 singles in this top of the first inning. Rachel Becker thrown out at second, trying to steal second. Here's the 1-2 that's upstairs, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Series between Purdue and Iowa. The Hawkeyes lead at 48-19. Their first meeting was back on the 1st of April, back in 1995, in which Iowa won. And the last meeting, which was a couple of years ago, here's one that's knocked up into the infield and drifts out to right field, where Nia Carter coming in to make the catch. She does so. And so with a couple of runners getting on, actually 3 get on and no move forward for Purdue. They don't get any runs. It's scoreless as we head into the bottom of the first inning. It'll be Bridie Klostrom and Nia Carter and Denali Lecker when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home broken-hearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition. For those who are Iowan through and through, we're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Iowa baseball team hosting Purdue this weekend. As we had mentioned coming into it, Iowa is leading Purdue currently by the score of 1-0 as they're into the 3rd inning. We'll keep you up to date. 5-0, Iowa's up in this top of the 5th. So Purdue now batting in the top of the 5th inning, and the Hawkeyes are up 5-0. Iowa lost to Indiana State Tuesday night at a miserable night here in Iowa City. But they played the baseball game. Hey, we want to talk about tomorrow's 50th anniversary of Title IX Hawkeyes Hawk Walk. I'll get to that here momentarily. Purdue in the field. Alexa Pinarski is in the circle for the Purdue Boilermakers. Alexa Pinarski has pitched 76 in the 3rd inning. She's the 3rd leading innings pitched player for the Purdue Boilermakers. Etches Zareta, Brenna Smith, both are ahead of her. She throws the first pitch to Bridie Klostrom. Pinarski making her 12th start. Oh, it is because of. All right. So it is Alex Echezarreta. She's the designated player, so she is out there in the circle. Alex Echezarreta. Talk about her numbers coming into the game. 95 2/3 innings pitched. She with her 16th game started, 27th appearance. She's up in the count on Bradley Klosterman now, no balls and 2 strikes, and apparently didn't like the pitch that was signaled in from the dugout. 95 2/3 innings pitched, 89 hits, 54 runs, 51 of them have been earned. 3.73 ERA for Alex Echezarreta. Here is the 0-2 that's upstairs on Bradley Klosterman, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Briley in the Northern Iowa game had a hit and 4 at-bats, had 1 strikeout in the game. Had a couple nice defensive plays out in the field. Here is the 1-2. She hits right out to left field on a line drive. Caught by Riley Plutosic. That's out number 1 for the Hawks in the bottom of the first inning. Brings up Nia Carter. Nia Carter had quite the game against Northern Iowa Wednesday night in that 3-2 win for the Hawks. 4 for 4 from the plate, including her 4th double of the season. And she scored 2 runs. Here is the first pitch to her, and it's upstairs and away. So Nia back over the 400 batting average, 401, 61 hits, 152 at-bats, 4 doubles and 3 triples. The number 2 batter in the lineup, the left-handed slap hitter. Here is the pitch that she bunts down the third base line, played nicely by Olivia McFadden as she fired across the diamond to first base. Olivia McFadden couldn't keep the glove on it and dropped it, and so Nia Carter will be on first base. Following the error by Olivia McFadden, and so with 1 out, brings up Denali Lecker. Denali at the plate. 1 for 4 in the game Wednesday, and runs scored. That against Northern Iowa. She also struck out once in the game. Iowa and Northern Iowa both scored a run in their first at-bat. Northern Iowa would take a lead in the bottom of the second inning at 2-1. Iowa would come back in the top of the third with a couple of runs scored, and that's where we stayed all the way through the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh at-bats for each of these teams. Here's one that's hit right over the top of second base by Denali Lecker, and Nia Carter will just round second and hold as it's hit into shallow right field, and getting it in quickly is Tarina Jones. So the Hawkeyes, runners at first and second with 1 out, and Denali Lecker continues on a torrid pace, hitting here recently. Just when she would get things started heavily with a couple of games, then she would go a game and not get a hit. But all the way back to the beginning of the Ohio State series back on the 15th of April. In 12 games, she has, including this one, 9 hit safely in 9 of those 12 games. And it brings up Kalena Burns. Kalena 2 for 3 in Wednesday's win over Northern Iowa. 3 runs batted in. Here's a pitch that she'll foul back into the backstop. Kalena with a couple of hits in game number 2 in the Northwestern series. She was 2 of 5 in that series. She was walked twice and hit by a pitch twice, both times from Danielle Williams. That back in game number 1. Here's the 1-1 to her. She hits lightly into the infield and second bases over to make the catch, and that is Jade Moy. So that is out number 2 for the Hawks in the bottom of the first inning. Sophia Morris will step into the left-handed batter's box, a junior out of Johnston. First couple of years she played at Des Moines Area Community College, where a year ago she, the National Junior College Player of the Year. Had quite a year leading DMAC to the national tournament. led National Junior College statistics in 6 different categories. First pitch to her is a ball. 105 runs scored, 117 hits, 29 home runs, 92 runs batted in, 234 bases, and she walked 40 times. Oh, those all led National Junior College rankings a year ago. Here's the 1-0 to her. That's upstairs again, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. Sophia 0 for 2 in the game against Northern Iowa Wednesday, but she walked twice and struck out once. And is ahead in the count here at 2 balls and no strikes. Working against Alex Echezarreta. Here is the pitch to her that's inside, so it's 3 balls and no strikes. Echezarreta, senior out of West Virginia. Transfer from James Madison University. Here's the 3-0 to Sophia Maris. Pitch that's down and away, so she draws a 2-out walk. It'll load up the bases for Sammy Diaz. Sammy, the sophomore from Cypress, California. Big opportunity here for the Hawks to break this game wide open. They need to have some explosiveness all weekend long. And again, in talking with head coach Renee Gillespie before the game, she was very happy with their enthusiasm, the way they came out and were relaxed and played well against Northern Iowa, well enough to win that game 3-2. And they had that same feel. And I got that same feel when I was walking here into the press box and watching them out in the field. Man, there was good hustle, good enthusiasm. Here's the first pitch to Sammy. Called strike 1 right down the middle from Alex Echezarreta. Echezarreta in the season with 103 strikeouts. Here is the 0-1 to Sammy. Won this upstairs, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. She does on this season have 3 complete game shutouts out of the 4 shutouts that she has. And one of them was against 22nd ranked University of San Francisco, or excuse me, South Florida. Here is the 1-1 that's called strike 2 on that outside corner. So again, that's home plate umpire trying to get zero in on a strike zone. Sammy looked a little perplexed on that pitch, but she's down to the count of the ball and 2 strikes. Here it comes from Echezarreta, a pitch that's upstairs. Sammy went for it, sorta. Check swing, they peel down to third base, and he says no. So it brings a 2 ball and 2 strike count to Sammy Diaz. Sammy in Wednesday's game with a base hit. Iowa had 9 hits against Northern Iowa pitching on Wednesday, scoring the 3 runs. The Hawks left 8 runners on base. Here's the 2-2 from Echezarreta, a pitch that's outside. Sammy goes after and the swings and misses and is down on strikes. That's the first strikeout of the game for Echezarreta. The Hawks leave 3 on base paths. We're scoreless as we head into the top of the second inning. The Purdue Boilermakers will be at the plate with hitter number 5 in Ryan Ross when play continues. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue in Iowa City or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. Andy Miller was out with the first honorary pitch of the game, first pitch of the game. Here as the Iowa City Tire is sponsoring today's game. We appreciate Andy and everything that he and Iowa City Tire do for University of Iowa athletics. Hey, the Title IX Hawkeyes Hawk Walk is tomorrow, Saturday morning, and it is a 50-minute walk That'll be somewhere around the noon hour, early in the afternoon. It's in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Title IX here at Kretzmeyer Track, which is just next to Bob Pearl Field. Here on the first pitch to Ryan Ross, a high hopper that gets through Sophia Morris. She played it nicely. Had a real high hop, and she tried to play the short hop, and it got between her legs, and so that'll put Ryan Ross at first base on an error by Sophia Morris. So registration for adults is $50, $20 for students, college and high school age, or you can band together as a team up to $15 for $500, get a little bit of a discount as they raise money for the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Youth ages 12 and under are free. Now, those that are attending the walk and being a part of the walk will receive a free ticket to the softball game tomorrow. That'll be game number 2 of Iowa and the Purdue Boilermakers. So nobody out in Purdue's top of the second inning. Riley Platusik at the plate. Looking at Denali Lecker. She squares to bunt, pulls it back. And it is called ball 1. Riley Platusik. Coming in with a .248 batting average. Here is the 1-0 that's down and in on her, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. 37 hits, 149 at bats, 7 doubles, a couple of triples, and she's hit 3 home runs on the season. Purdue on the season with 33 home runs as a team, but they lead the Big Ten in triples hit with 12. Here is the 2-0 that's bunted foul. And the count now at 2 balls and 1 strike. Purdue coming off of a series win over Rutgers this past weekend, winning the last 2 games, losing game number 1 against them. They had the Notre Dame game against 20th-ranked Fighting Irish canceled because of the weather. Here's one that's hit lightly into the infield and playing on the hop. Nice play by Sammy Diaz. Got it on the hop, and she was able to tag out Ryan Ross and then throw to first to complete the double play. Timing was just perfect. She came in on it, caught it, went to her knees, and Ross was running by her. She tags her, and on to Kalena Burns for the double play. And so just like that, 2 gone, and Purdue's top of the second inning. Brings up Olivia McFadden, the number 7 hitter in the lineup, freshman, third baseman, batting .222, 34 hits, 153 at bats, 6 doubles, a triple, and she has hit 1 home run. Here's the first pitch to her that's down and in. McFadden, a freshman from Katy, Texas. Playing third base today, has played first base on the season for the Boilermakers. 2 gone, and Purdue's top of the second inning. We're scoreless. Here is the 1-0, one that's bounced right back to Denali Lecker in the circle. Takes a couple of strides over towards first, underhands it to Kalena Burns, and that will end the Purdue Boilermakers here in the top of the second inning. We're through 1.5. The Hawkeyes coming to the plate with the number 7 hitter Grace Baines expected to get in the right-handed batter's box when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
In Iowa, we grow corn, a lot of corn. We love seeing our farmers in the fields, and although they're perfect strangers, we know them. We know them by their equipment covered in dust. We know them by their work ethic, where days off don't exist. We know them by the way they wave, passing strangers alike on a 2-lane road. We know them in the midst of our kitchen as we prepare another family meal. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. The Iowa corn farmers are proud to be on the sidelines for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Update you now from Dwayne Banks Field. The Iowa Hawkeye baseball team is ahead of the Purdue Boilermakers, still 5-0 now. The Hawkeyes batting in the bottom of the 5th inning. Hawks again lost to Indiana State earlier this week on Tuesday. Apparently it was a miserable night of activity, and it really was. And the Iowa softball team would go on and play Northern Iowa Wednesday and win that game. So it's today at 4 o'clock for Iowa Purdue baseball, which is ongoing right now, and again 5-0 in the 5th inning. Tomorrow is a Big Ten Network Plus game, our Big Ten Network game. That is an 11 o'clock start tomorrow morning. at Dwayne Banks Field. And then Sunday's game is at 1 o'clock. Alex Echezarreta in the circle for the Purdue Boilermakers, looking at Grace Baines, and the first pitch to Grace is called strike one. Baines with a .220 batting average, 27 hits, 123 at-bats, 6 doubles and a couple of triples for her. Here now is the 0-1 from Echezarreta, pitch that's upstairs on Grace Baines. In the Northern Iowa game Wednesday, Grace 0 for 3 at the plate. Had a couple of putouts in the field and an assist at third base, playing that hot corner quite nicely. Here's the 1-1 to her that she'll get around on and foul it back behind the backstop. Trina Prater, the assistant head coach, down on the right first base coach's box. Head coach Renee Gillespie in the third base coaching box for the Hawks here this afternoon. Rick Dillinger, bench coach, calls the pitches for his pitchers. Here's the 1-2 from Echezarreta, a swing and a foul back into the backstop by Grace Baines. Grace has hit safely in 6 of her last 8 games. She had a 5-game hitting streak going from the Illinois series. She had 2 hits in game number 2 and a single in game number 3. Had a hit against Iowa State and had 2 hits in the Northwestern series. Here's the line drive by Grace, hit right to shortstop and picked out of the air by Rachel Becker. And that's 1 gone in Iowa's bottom of the 2nd inning. Brings up Marissa Peak. Marissa catching here today. She's been doing a lot of catching the last couple of weeks. Caught 2 of the 3 games against Ohio State. Pinch hit in the other game. Caught 1 of the games against Illinois. She caught 2 games at Northwestern. Caught against Northern Iowa Wednesday. Here's one that she hits out to right field and right at the right fielder for Purdue, Tarina Jones. And so quickly the Hawks are 2 outs. Brings up Riley Moss. Moss, the number 9 hitter, freshman slap hitter out of Muscatine. Started in the Northern Iowa game. Has started actually quite a few games here recently. 2 of the 3 at Northwestern. Starting here today, out in left field. Here is the first pitch to her. That's outside on Riley, batting 67.067 with 1 hit and 15 at bats. 0 for 2 in the Northern Iowa game with a strikeout. Had a couple of nice catches though out in left field. And the last one to finish off Northern Iowa in that 7th inning. Boy, that's a nice play by Rachel Becker, but she will not get Roddy Moss down the first base line. Becker made a nice stop at it. The ball was coming at her, took an odd hop on her. She had to backhand it. And backhanding it caused her to adjust her body and the throw across the diamond just not in time to get Roddy Moss. Roddy credited with a base hit, her 2nd of the season. And we get to the top of the order. Riley Klosterman at the plate. Flew out to left field, a line drive on her first at-bat with a runner at first base, a teammate in Roddy Moss. Hawks have a few times this season have scored runs with 2 outs. They got them here. And at the top of the order, we'll see if Riley Klosterman can keep things going here. Outfield playing at about normal depth. Here's the pitch from Echezarreta. It's off the plate, so it's ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Earlier this week, Alex Echezarreta said that she will return for another season, take advantage of the COVID opportunity. So she'll be back next year in Purdue's black and gold. And that 1-1 pitch now becomes 2 balls and 1 strike. Echezarreta, a senior out of West Virginia. Through 37 and a third innings a year ago. Here's one that's lifted just to second base and backing up into shallow right field is Jade Moy, and that will end the Hawks here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Get a runner on, Can't move her forward, and so we're scoreless as we head into the top of the third. It'll be the number 8 hitter for the Purdue Boilermakers when play resumes. This is Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Hi, Hawkeye fans. My name is Denali.
And I'm Briley, and we're members of your Iowa Hawkeye softball team.
Our team is striving to be number 1.
And that's why we trust our vehicles to Iowa City Tire and Service, the number 1 automotive shop in Iowa City,
where service actually comes first.
Iowa City Tire and Service, where their customers become friends because they treat you like family. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Proud sponsors of Hawkeye Softball.
University of Iowa golf, men's golf teams ended their season last weekend at the Big Ten Conference Tournament at French Lick, Indiana. Illinois was the winning team at 885 at 21 over par. The Hawkeyes were 7th at 31 over par at 895. David Nefal of Northwestern was the individual medalist with a 1 under 215. Iowa's top golfer Ronan Klue tied for 12th at 6 over 222, but again, that ends the Iowa Hawkeye men's golf season. Kind of a terrible contrast in what they've been used to the last few years, having made a couple of different postseason appearances in NCAA regionals, but not this year. So it'll be Kaylee Halada at the plate for the Purdue Boilermakers. Here's one in the first pitch to Grace Baines at third, or throw across the diamond, bounces at Kalena Burns. Kalena able to time it nicely and pick it up for the first out of the top of the third inning. To bring up Kiera Dillon. Kiera Dillon, 236 hitter with 26 hits and 110 at-bats. Sophomore center fielder. Looking out now at Denali Lecker. Here's the first offering from Lecker, and it's a bunt right back to Denali, having to wait for Sammy Diaz to get over to first to cover. And she didn't get there in time, and Kiera Dillon will run it out. What do you got, Sam? So Kiera Dillon credited with a single on that as she beat out the throw. Sammy had a long way to go to cover from second base as the bunt went right back to Denali Lecker in the circle. So with Dillon on first base, we get to the top of the order, and Rachel Becker. Becker singled in her first at-bat. Was thrown out trying to steal second. Here's the first pitch from Denali Lecker. And it's down and away on Rachel. So a .421 average coming into the game already with her 60th hit. 141 at-bats, 13 doubles, 3 triples, and 5 home runs for the leadoff hitter. All Big Ten a year ago. Here's the 1-0 tour. It's called strike one, right down the middle of the plate. Earlier this season, she tied Purdue's single-season doubles record with career doubles record with 18, and on-base percentage at .539. So she's a very tough out at the plate as a leadoff hitter. Rachel Becker has played and started in every game. That's 183 games that she's played in and started each of them. She's up in the count of 2 balls and 1 strike on Denali Lecker. Here's the 2-1 to her. That's down and away, so 3 balls and 1 strike. Kiera Dillon at first base after singling on an infield hit. Have 1 out. And Rachel Becker, the leadoff hitter for the Purdue Boilermakers, at the plate. Outfield playing maybe a step in. Here's one that's hit right back through the circle on Denali Lecker, just missing her left thigh. Racing past her, and so Rachel Becker now 2 for 2 on the day with a couple of singles. Brings up Alex Echazarreta. She also singled in her first at-bat. Got 1 out here in Purdue's top of the second inning. Marissa Peak now out talking to Denali Lecker, calming her down some. Brody Moss in left, Brody Klosterman in center, Nia Carter in right. They are at a little bit deeper depth than what normally they would play. Breeze again blowing in from right center field into the press box, so it'll take quite a shot to get out, but only at about 10 to 15 mile per hour. Here's the first pitch to Echezarreta. Down and away from her. Alex, a .333 hitter. That has improved already with her first at bat today and a base hit. 40 and 118. 10 doubles and 7 home runs Echezarreta has this season. Here is the 1-0 from Denali Lecker. And it's one that down and in. 2 balls and no strikes. She like Denali Lecker. It's on the field a lot, especially when she's pitching. She also will hit for herself. Denali says it gets her into the game that much more. Here's the 2-0 from Lecker to Echezarreta. Down and in. 3-0 on Alex Echezarreta. Runners at first and second and 1 out. And Purdue's top of the 3rd inning. Here's the 3-0 from Denali Lecker. One that's down and in on her. And it's ball 4. That's the 22nd base on balls that Alex Echezarreta has drawn this season. It loads up the bases with 1 out. And Tarina Jones steps to the plate. And now head coach Renee Gillespie coming out from the dugout, going to talk to that infield about what they want to do, or they want to go with ground balls. Certainly plays at the plate if they can get it, but need to get an out if they can. Knock that ball down on the infield. As the batter will be Tarina Jones. Again, she got on a fielder's choice in her last at-bat. Batting .239 on the season, 16 and 68. 3 doubles and a triple she has hit. Has 5 runs batted in. Has teammates on each of the bases. A hit here could open this game up. Again, tomorrow is the Hawkeyes Hawk Walk to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX. 50-minute walk. It'll be accompanied by activities that educate and celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Registration at $50 for adults, $25 for students, college and high school age. Or if you want to band together, get 15 of you, $500 for that. A good cause for this walk tomorrow. And anybody that participates in the walk will get a free ticket to come to the second game of this series between Purdue and Iowa. That game starts at 2 o'clock tomorrow. First pitch to Tarina Jones is strike 1 from Denali Lecker. Here is the 0-1 from the sophomore from Ogden. A swing and a miss. Pitch that's breaking down and away from her. So Denali, first opportunity to get a strikeout here. No balls and 2 strikes. Bases are loaded for the Purdue Boilermakers. They've got 1 out. We're in the top of the 3rd inning, scoreless between Iowa and Purdue. Here's the 0-2 pitch that is called strike 3. Nice spot placement by Denali Lecker. She picks up her first strikeout of the day. And on the season, it's the 67th for this year. And again, a year ago, she pitched not even 3 innings. So she really getting a lot of experience in the circle this season. Coming on strong, along with the 3 freshmen that head coach Renee Gillespie has. Going to be strong in the future. That'll bring up Jade Moy, freshman second baseman. She flew out to Nia Carter in her first at-bat today. Teammates at every base. The number 5 hitter is Ross, batting at 167. 13 and 79. Here is the 1-0 to her. That's now 2 balls and no strikes. She does have a double and has hit 3 home runs this season. Steps back in the right-handed batter's box. Looking out at Denali Lecker. Here's the 2-0 from Lecker. It's a pitch that is up The outside corner, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Two and one. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. That's outside, so it's 3 balls and 1 strike on the freshman Jade Moy, freshman out of Bradenton, Florida. Right-handed hitting second baseman. Here's the 3-1 that she gets around on and will just beat it foul just in front of the Iowa Hawkeye dugout. Iowa, before winning Wednesday 3-2 over Northern Iowa, have been on a 5-game losing streak, going all the way back to the 3rd game of the Illinois series, in which they lost 5-4 but had scored 4 times in the top of the 7th inning. All 3 of the games at Northwestern and again at Iowa State. Here's one that's bounced between Kalena Burns and Sammy Diaz, and the run from third will score. Rachel Becker will score from second. And a 2 RBI single for Jade Moy gives the Purdue Boilermakers a 2-0 lead. Moves Etchezareta from first to third. And with 2 outs, runners at the corners for the Purdue Boilermakers. Brings up Ryan Ross. Ross reached on an error in her first at-bat. With teammates at first and third. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. One that's down and in on her. Ross with a 167 average. Freshman playing third base. 13 hits and 79 at-bats. Here's the 1-0. 2 are off speed. And it's outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Four freshmen on this Purdue batting lineup. And 2 sophomores, which leaves 3 seniors from there. Here's the 2-0 that's fouled down the right field line and out of play. So much like University of Iowa, Purdue, a very young softball team, making their way through their Big Ten season. Again, they're 5-14 in the Big Ten. Iowa at 2-18 as they battle for that number 12 seed in the Big Ten tournament. Here's one that's right down the third base line, playing it nicely on a backhand is Grace Baines. She had to crouch away from it, and she timed it nicely on the backhand right on top of third base. Throws it across to Kalena Burns, and that will end Purdue here in the top of the third, but the Boilermakers come up with 2 runs. They leave 2 on base and have a 2-0 lead heading into the bottom of the third inning when the Hawks come to the plate. It'll be Nia Carter to get things going. You're listening to Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
There's a sense of pride that comes from the life of a farmer. How many people can say they have a famous tan named after them, or be known for their wave when they drive past neighbors and strangers alike on a 2-lane road? Whether it's a farmer's tan or the farmer's wave, we are proud to be known for a lot of things. We feel that pride every night at the dinner table, knowing we feed our family and yours. Iowa Corn is proud to be on the sidelines cheering on the Iowa Hawkeyes. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is corn grows Iowa.
University of Iowa Sports Medicine delivers comprehensive care for competitive and recreational athletes of all ages. Our team of orthopedic surgeons, physicians, and specialists are committed to reducing pain and injury through our advanced training and experience. Same-day, next-day appointments available, no referral needed. Learn more by visiting uihc.org/sportsmedicine. Glad to have them along here for Iowa softball all season long. And again, we thank Andy Miller from Iowa City Tire for sponsoring Iowa softball today. And here on the YouTube channel that I'm broadcasting on, I had a chance to speak with Andy a week ago and had a nice interview with him. 3 and 4 minutes can only do so much for an individual and a business that does so much for the University of Iowa. And we certainly thank Andy Miller and his staff and Iowa City Tire for their support of University of Iowa athletics. Nia Carter steps into the left-handed batter's box for the Hawks. Nia reached on an error on first baseman McFadden. Ryan Ross in her first at-bat. Ended up at third base when the Hawks had the bases loaded back in the bottom of the first inning. Iowa trails it now 2-0 here in the bottom of the third. And Nia with a 1-1 count on her. She had a little drag bunt that was picked up by third and tossed across the diamond. Here is the 1-1 that's lifted out to left field, and it'll drop just in front of the left fielder, Rodney Plutasik. Foul, and so it'll bring Nia back to the left-handed batter's box where she'll have a 1-2 count on her. Nia at .401 on the season. She had the 4 hits against Northern Iowa Wednesday, scoring 2 of the 3 runs the Hawks had in that 3-2 win over the Panthers. Here's the 1-2 from Alex Echezarreta, a pitch that's up and away, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here now the 2-2 from Alex Echezarreta, one that's hit right back to her in the circle on a high-hopping hit. And that'll be the first out for the Hawks in the bottom of the third inning. Brings up Denali Lecker. Lecker singled in her first at-bat. Part of that bases-loaded situation that was unable to get a run across for Iowa back in the first inning. Here's the first offering from Echezarreta, a pitch that Denali lifts out into right field. High fly out to right, and on the first pitch, Tarina Jones plays it nicely and comes up with the grab. 2 gone in Iowa's bottom of the third. Kalena Burns, right-handed hitting first baseman out of Corona, California, stepping to the plate. Kalena at .263, 31 hits, 119 at-bats as she lined out to second base in her first at-bat. Had 2 hits in the Northern Iowa win Wednesday, 3 runs batted in. Here's one out to right, center field, and a line shot. Having to make the diving catch out there for Purdue. Kiera Dillon, and she does make the catch. And that ends Iowa in the bottom of the third inning. 3 up, 3 down. Purdue continues to lead. The score of 2-0 as we head into the top of the fourth inning for Purdue. They will send the number 6 hitter, Rodney Plutasik, to the plate when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Have you heard about this new type of television experience from Epson? It's called the Epic Vision Ultra Laser Projection TV. It combines a new type of laser projection technology along with a unique Epson Silverflex screen to produce an epic 120-inch 4K Pro UHD picture that's up to 4 times bigger than a traditional 60-inch TV. There's no better way to watch live sports, and watching Iowa basketball play live on this big bright TV is simply awesome. If you're a sports fanatic like me, you need to check this new Epson TV out for yourself. Visit Epson.com/TV to learn more.
Home of the Hawkeyes, Finkbine Golf Course and Bumps Restaurant is open for the 2022 golf season, featuring 18 holes of public golf at finely shaped Finkbine Golf Course, as well as Handcraft American Fare. Stop by today to enjoy quality golf at Finkbine and delicious food at Bumps Restaurant. Open for service. I was driving by there today on my way to the ballpark here, and a number of golfers are already out there getting their swings in early in the spring, and next week with temperatures in the 80s, I imagine that course is going to be flooded, so you might as well get your green your reservations in as soon as possible to play at Finkbine Golf Course. Rodney Plutasik steps to the plate, grounded out to Sammy Diaz in her first at-bat. Here's a line shot that goes right through the glove of Sophia Morris, and a base hit given to Plutasik. That was a line shot. Morris had to reach up and try to get it. Nearly took her glove off of her hand. So Plutasik with her 38th hit in 150 at-bats, is on first base with a single to begin the top of the fourth inning. Olivia McFadden will step to the plate, freshman third baseman. Bounced back to Denali Lecker in the circle in her first at-bat back in the second inning. Here's the first pitch from Denali. She squares to bunt and fouls it back. Both Kalena Burns and Grace Baines were hustling down first and third base lines. Try to get an opportunity to pick it up in fair territory, but it goes foul. McFadden at .222 in the season coming into the game, 34 and 154 at-bats. 6 doubles, a triple, and she has hit 1 home run in the season. But a freshman out of Katy, Texas. Here is the 0-1, and one that's lifted out to left field, pushing Roddy Moss back just short of the warning track. And a nice throw from left field to Sammy Diaz at second to keep Roddy Platosic from trying to advance. And she remains at first base, and with 1 out, it brings up Kaylee Halada. Kaylee Halada, who grounded out to Grace Baines in her first at-bat. Grace right even with the bag at third base. Kalena Burns is down the line at first base, a couple of strides and in a couple. Runner at first. Here's the first pitch to Halada. It's called strike one on the inside corner. Halada, the number 8 hitter in the lineup at .220. On her average, 27 of 124 on the season. 3 doubles. She's hit 6 home runs. Has some pop in that bat. Here's the 0-1 from Denali Lecker. And one that gets away from Denali, and it's outside, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. These teams played a year ago in the Big Ten only season. Iowa won 3 of those 4 games. In that series, it was Denali Lecker series, collecting 7 hits at 12 at-bats. Here's one that's hot down the third base line. Backhanding it is Grace Baines, but in foul territory. Boy, you only have a simple second to react to that, and Grace does just that, but it was in foul territory. So it's a ball and 2 strikes on the senior, Kaylee Halada, the senior catcher. Here is the 1-2, and it's a pitch that she'll just dribble down the first base line. Kalena Burns fires to second to Sophia Morris. They get the force, but don't have enough to get Kaylee Halada. She'll be at first base on the fielder's choice. What a play by Kalena Burns. She probably could have stepped back to touch first and then maybe even fired to Sophia Morris to make the tag on Platosic. But nevertheless, they get the lead runner. And with 2 outs, runner at first, it brings up the number 9 hitter, Kiara Dillon. Dillon singled and scored one of the 2 runs in Purdue's top of the third. Here is the first pitch to her, 2-hopper. Sophia Morris pick up and fire across the diamond to Kalena Burns, and that will end the Purdue Boilermakers here in the top of the 4th inning. We've played 3.5 innings. Purdue leads Iowa 2-0 heading into the bottom of the 4th inning. Sophia Morris, the number 5 hitter for the Hawks, will lead it off for the Hawks when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home broken-hearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition. For those who are Iowan through and through, we're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
I want to remind you, Hawkeye fans, that after the spring football season ended last weekend, and the Hawkeye coaching staff satisfied with what they saw because they know how much work has to be done between now and the first game against South Dakota State. You as fans are asked for ideas for a new song for the Hawkeye Wave that occurs at the end of each first quarter during the home games at Kinnick Stadium as they recognize and acknowledge patients and families inside the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital up on the top floor. So all you have to do as an Iowa fan is nominate a song. Go on to HawkeyeSports.com/wave. The top 8 songs will be voted on by fans on July 11th. That'll be narrowed down to 4 songs. Then there'll be a second round of voting. That'll be narrowed down to 2. And the final round of voting will determine the anthem, and that will be announced on the 1st of August. So you as Hawkeye football fans, go to Hawkeyesports.com/wave and nominate a song that you think would be an excellent representation for the Hawkeye Wave. Sophia Morris at the plate, the left-handed hitting junior out of Johnston via Des Moines Area Community College. She walked in her first at-bat against Alex Echezarreta. She now has a count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Echezarreta from West Virginia. Again, a transfer from James Madison a few years back. Count even at 1-1. Here's the 1-1 from Echezarreta. That is outside, so it's ball 2. 2 balls and 1 strike. Echezarreta back in the pandemic-stricken season was at 18 2/3 innings. Pitch for the Boilermakers. Here's the 2-1 to Sophia out in the left field, and a base hit for Sophia. Does a nice job to wait on that off-speed pitch, and rockets one out to left field just over the top of Rachel Becker's glove at short. And so Morris onto the base hit here. She's 1 for 1 as she walked in her first at-bat. Brings up Sammy Diaz. Diaz had a hit in the Northern Iowa game Wednesday night, coming in with a 192 average, 14 hits, and now 74 at-bats. She struck out in her first at-bat here today, back in the first inning. Runner on, nobody out. Diaz squares to bunt, pulls back, and it's called strike 1 on the outside corner. Purdue had some rotation going as first baseman Ross was down the first base line looking for that bunt. And at that same time, Jade Moy heading over to first from second if they had a play to make. No balls and 1 strike on the sophomore Sammy Diaz. Morris at first. She squares to bunt again, goes after it and misses it. So now she's down on the count at 0-2. She'll have to be a tough hitter at the plate at this point. No balls and 2 strikes on the sophomore second baseman Sammy Diaz, who last year played a lot of third base, all third base. Here's one that she gets around on, will foul it lightly down the first base line. In all of Sammy's starts last year, they were all at third base. I thought she had done a nice job at third base. Now she's moved over to second base with Grace Baines at third, and Grace had played a pretty solid shortstop last year. Sophia Morris is there this year. Here's the 0-2 that's upstairs, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. 14 hits and 74 at-bats is Sammy. Got a teammate on at first base and nobody out. Sophia Morris at first. Sammy's tried to sacrifice her along with a couple of bunt attempts, both of which failed. So now she's got to be a hitter at the plate. Here's the 1-2 to Sammy. A swing and a miss, and she'll be down on strikes. That's the second strikeout of the day for Echezarreta. And for Alex on the season, strikeouts 104 and 105. And with Sophia Morris at first base, it'll bring up Grace Baines, sophomore third baseman. Baines at a .220 hitter. Here's the first pitch to her that hits her on the elbow. And so she'll be headed down to first base after being hit by a pitch. That'll move Sophia Morris on to second. And for Echezarreta, it's the 14th batter that she has hit with a pitch on this season. And with 1 out, Hawks in business here. Runners at first and second, trailing 2-0. This is the bottom of the 4th inning, and it's Marissa Peak at the plate. Peak lined out to Jones in right field in her last at-bat back in the bottom of the 2nd inning. Here's the first pitch from Echezarreta, a pitch that Peak will swing at and foul it back just past the netting in the backstop into the stands. A lot of kids here on campus here at the Softball Diamond. Head coach Renee Gillespie bringing in a lot of youth softball players, getting them to get to know the Iowa softball team, get a chance to run around the the diamond after the game's over. Lots of good activity here. Here's the 0-1 that's down and in, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Also, today is Disability Day. As you see, some players will be wearing purple ribbons or orange ribbons in their hair. Orange ribbons signifying disability, purple ribbons for suicide prevention. Here's the 1-1 that Marissa gets it around on, and will it drift foul back into the stands? It does. Actually, the wind catches onto it. It pushes it back into the softball diamond just to the west of Pearl Field. What do you got for baseball score? Hawk baseball still leading Purdue 5-0 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Here's the 1-2 from Etchezarreta that's outside on Marissa Peak. Marissa caught in the Northern Iowa game 0 for 3 at the plate, had a strikeout. .259 hitter coming into the game, 22 hits and 86 at-bats into this at-bat. 2-2 count on her from Alex Etchezarreta. Here's the pitch, one that she'll get around on, foul it back. She had to fight off that pitch. Nice at-bat for Marissa Peak here. Runners at first and second. Grace Baines, who just was hit by a pitch in her at-bat, pushed on Sophia Morris, who singled to start this bottom of the 4th inning. Iowa trails at 2-0. Game 1 of the 3-game series between the Hawks and the Purdue Boilermakers. Tomorrow's game is a 2 o'clock start time. That will be just after the Herky Hawk walk, signifying 50th anniversary of Title IX. Here's one that's lifted high down the left field line. It'll just drift foul. So Marissa Peak still with a 2-2 count on her. Remains at the plate. Battling off pitches. She's the number 8 hitter, Riley Moss, the scheduled hitter next for head coach Renee Gillespie. Left-handed slap hitter out of Muscatine. Here the 2-2 from Etchezarreta, swinging a foul by Marissa. Just caught a piece of the softball. That pitch fouled it into the backstop, so she again remains alive in this at-bat. Purdue outfield is playing about a step deep. You know, it's sometimes difficult to get used to, you know, new surroundings. The wind out of the northeast, learning how to play the wind in a new environment. Here's the 2-2 that's off the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Marissa's done a nice job to work this count to a full count on Alex Etchezarreta. Etchezarreta coming into the game, the leading pitcher on this team at 95 2/3 innings. Here's a 3-2 from her to Marissa Peak. Once she hits out to right center field, pushing the center fielder back. A tag by Sophia Morris. She will get to third base. On the sac fly by Marissa Peak, she drove the center fielder back to just short of the warning track. Kiera Dillon and Sophia Mara quickly back to second base, and she knew she was going to get to third. But with 2 outs, Roddy Moss will come to the plate. And now head coach Boo de Oliveira coming out to talk to that infield here at the Purdue Boilermakers. Here a team that maybe a little bit better than their record shows, 22-29 overall, 5-14 in the Big Ten. Again, coming into the game, they're coming off a series where they beat Rutgers 2 out of 3 games. Had the Notre Dame game canceled because of weather. Had lost 2 at Indiana, a doubleheader. Had lost 2 of 3 against Michigan State, and all 3 against Northwestern. All 3 of those games were lost in 5 innings, so that was part of a 6-game. They had an 8-game losing streak going for the time being, so they kind of similar to Iowa, just unable to consistently put together hits, runners on base, push them across the plate. But here they lead 2-0 in the bottom of the 4th inning over the Hawks, with Iowa having runners at first and third, Baines at first and Morris at third. And it brings up pinch hitter for the Hawks and Emma Henderson. freshman from Battleground, Indiana, just outside of West Lafayette. Sure, she, growing up, paid a lot of attention to what was happening in West Lafayette with Purdue softball. Here she's pinch hitting for Rowdy Moss. Bottom of the fourth inning. And for Emma Henderson, a 133 hitter. This is her 31st at bat. 4 hits in her previous 30. Here's one that she hits off the end of the bat right to second base, and an underhand throw to Ross at first, and that will end the Hawks in this bottom of the fourth inning. Again, get a couple of runners on, can't move them forward to scratch out a run, and their inning ends with a ground out. We've played through 4. It's Purdue 2 and Iowa nothing heading into the top of the 5th inning. It'll be the top of the order. Rachel Becker when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Looking for a place to go before and after Hawkeye home games? Make a night of it at Graduate Iowa City Hotel. Take advantage of our in-house Topgolf Swing Suite for a full bar and a menu of American classics, and most importantly, a selection of exciting virtual games from favorites like golf, football, and baseball to more unique options like zombie dodgeball. Call 319-337-4058 for details and reservations at Graduate Iowa City Hotel.
Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye softball. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue in Iowa City, just off of Gilbert Street, or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first, with a smile and a welcome to you as you walk through the front door at Iowa City Tire. Again, we thank Andy Miller for his sponsorship of this broadcast and of University of Iowa softball today. Iowa City Tire, a longtime supporter of University of Iowa athletics. Game 1 of the 3-game series between the Boilermakers and the Iowa Hawkeyes so far belongs to Purdue with a 2-0 score, 2 runs and 6 hits. Purdue has committed 1 error. Iowa with no runs and 3 hits. But Iowa left the bases loaded in the bottom of the first, a runner in the bottom of the second, and 2 in the bottom of the fourth. So that seemingly endless problem of moving runners across the plate continues here in this game. And it is Devin Greer now in the circle for the Hawks. Rachel Becker with her 3rd hit of the game. Devin Greer a freshman, making her 22nd appearance, 48 2/3 innings that she has pitched on the season. She has 6 starts on the year, and she has a runner at first base in Rachel Becker, who just singled. Greer's last appearance in the circle was at Northwestern back on Sunday, May 1st, a week ago, where she went 2/3 of an inning. Here is one that's hit out to right field on the right field line. Can Nia Carter get to it? No, it drifts foul from Alex Echezarreta at the plate. She walked in her last at bat and singled in her first at bat. Devin Greer with giving up 65 hits, 51 runs, 48 of them earned, a 6.90 ERA. Here's the 0-2. That becomes 1 ball and 2 strikes. She's walked 29 batters and struck out 23. So Devin Greer in the circle for the Hawks. Senior from Huntington Beach, California. Here's the 1-2. Echezarreta rips one out to left field. And heading around second to third is Rachel Becker. She'll get there in a slide, and that will move Echezarreta to second base. Should be a single, and she went on to second to the throw to third to try to get Rachel Becker at third, and that does not happen. And so Echezarreta with her second hit of the day, she 2 for 2, moves teammate Rachel Becker to third, and the number 3 hitter in the lineup, Tarina Jones, will come to the plate. Jones with connections to the University of Iowa. Her father played football for Kirk Ferentz back in the late 1990s, early 2000s. Now over there somewhere in Indiana. That's his daughter, Tarina Jones, freshman right fielder playing for the Purdue Boilermakers. And now head coach Renee Gillespie headed out to the circle again, talk to this defense. Purdue leads it by the score of 2-0. Got to know where they're going with the softball and a ground ball to the infield. Certainly want to make plays at the plate if they can. Get that lead runner from third base, not allow Purdue to add to its run total. So head coach Renee Gillespie is elected to go back with Denali Lecker back in the circle. So Devin pitches to 2 batters. And then Denali Lecker, who started the game in the circle, comes back out into the circle. She'll get a couple of warm-up pitches. And then play will resume. We are in this top of the 5th inning. And Purdue has just done enough to take the 2-0 lead. Both of those runs coming back in the 3rd inning. Started with a ground out then a single by Kiera Dillon, single by Rachel Becker, a walk to Alex Echezarreta, and a 2 RBI single by Jade Moy gave Purdue its 2-0 lead, which is where it would end in that half inning, and that's where we stay now in the top of the 5th inning. But Purdue, again, now they're threatening with runners at 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and Denali Lecker has come back in to throw for the Hawks. She gave way to Devin Greer for 2 batters, Rachel Becker and Alex Echezarreta, and now it's Denali Lecker back in. She'll inherit the 2 runners at 2nd and 3rd base. Have her work cut out for her as Tarina Jones, the number 3 hitter in the lineup, freshman right fielder, at the plate. Here the first offering from Denali Lecker, a pitch that Jones will get around on and foul it back behind the press box. So quickly down to the count at no balls and 1 strike. Tarina struck out in her first at bat and reached on a fielder's choice, or struck out in her second at bat, reached on a fielder's choice in her first at bat. Down on the count at no balls and a strike. Here's the 0-1 from Denali Lecker, hit out to right center field, pushing Brodie Klosterman back to the wall, and right at it, she makes the catch. Tagging at third and scoring is Rachel Becker. That ball couldn't have been any further without going over the wall, and Brodie Klosterman able to get it right at her height and reaching up the wall to catch that, leaving it about 4 feet short of the top of the wall, but makes the out on the sacrifice fly, but it does score and move runners. Echezarreta will move on to third base. It brings up Jade Moy, the number 4 hitter in the lineup, Purdue with a 3-0 lead. And now just 1 out. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker, a pitch that's up and away to Jade Moy. 2 RBI single in her last at bat. Back in the 3rd inning, she flew out to Nia Carter in right field in her first at bat. Moy with a .253 average. They had on the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker. Line drive right out to Brodie Klosterman. Here's the play. Going to come to the plate. Will it be in time? It will not. Scoring from third base is Alex Echezarreta on the sac fly by Jade Moy, the 2nd out, and now Purdue with a 4-0 lead. Brings up Ryan Ross, freshman first baseman, 0 for 2 on the day. Ross with a .167 batting average, 13 hits and 78 at bats. 2 gone, bases are clear, but Purdue leads it 4-0. They've been able to get those runners across home plate to add to their run total here. And the first pitch to Ross is up and away from her, so it's 1 ball and no strikes. Ross at 167, 13 hits and 80 at-bats now. A double and 3 home runs to her credit for extra base hits. Here's one she gets around on, will foul it back behind the backstop. So 1 ball and 1 strike on Ryan Ross, a freshman from Bentonville, Arkansas. Here's the 1-1 pitch that's called strike 2 on that outside corner. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. When Iowa comes to the plate in the bottom of the 5th inning, it'll be the top of the order with Brody Klosterman. Need to get there, though. 2 outs here in this top of the 5th. Here is the 1-2, one that's going to be dribbled right to Sammy Diaz. She picks and throws to Kalena Burns, and that will end Purdue in this top of the 5th inning. But Purdue does add to its run total with 2 runs scored. They'll take a 4-0 lead in the bottom of the 5th inning. This is Iowa Hawkeye softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
In Iowa, we grow corn, a lot of corn. We love seeing our farmers in the fields, and although they're perfect strangers, we know them. We know them by their equipment covered in dust. We know them by their work ethic, where days off don't exist. We know them by the way they wave, passing strangers alike on a 2-lane road. We know them in the midst of our kitchen as we prepare another family meal. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa. The Iowa corn farmers are proud to be on the sidelines for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Had a chance to speak with former University of Iowa softball coach Gail Blevins prior to this game. I've known Gail for quite a while. I was able to broadcast a season of her games when Rob Brooks and I would split those broadcasts. Been a while since Gail's been gone, 10 years. And she still comes out and supports this Iowa softball program. Had a chance to speak with her and may have a chance to speak with her on the air tomorrow as the Hawks are recognizing the 25th anniversary of the last team to go to the College World Series back in 1997. Number of Hawkeye softball players will be back for that. And one of the players that she is with today was on the very first team that head coach Gail Blevins coached back in 1986. Kara Kaufner is in the crowd here today. Had a chance to say hello to her, and been a while for her since she's been back. And so maybe I have a chance to speak with Gail Blevins tomorrow during our broadcast of the second game of this 3-game series between the Hawks and the Purdue Boilermakers. Brody Klosterman steps to the plate. Brody 0 for 2 on the day. She has flown out twice, hit a line drive to second base in her last at-bat. Here's the 1-0 to her that's called strike 1. So it's 1 ball and 1 strike on the sophomore out of North Liberty, Brody Klosterman. Had a hit in the Northern Iowa game Wednesday night. Had only 1 hit in the Northwestern series. He was a bit frustrated than that. Here's one that she hits down the right field line, and it'll be foul. Back in the Minnesota series, on the first game on April 8th through the Ohio State series on April 17th, that included both Nebraska games. She had hit safely in 7 of those 8 games with 4 multi-hit games. 3 of them 2-hit games. Here's the 1-2 to her that's upstairs, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. She didn't get a hit in the Illinois series. She had 2 against Iowa State, and again, only 1 hit in the Northwestern series, but she also walked 3 times in that Northwestern series. Here she's 0 for 2 today against Alex Echezarreta. Here's the 2-2 from Zaretta. Here's one that's fouled, and gosh, it just rolled right off the top of the bat, over the top of her head, and nice play by the catcher for Purdue, Kaylee Halada, to make the catch and the out. So out number 1 is a pop-up to the catcher for the Hawks here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Brings up Nia Carter. Nia grounded back to Echezarreta in the circle in her last at-bat and reached on an error in her first at-bat and made it to third base but couldn't get any further than that. Here's one that she bounces right back to Echezarreta in the circle, and that will end Carter's at-bat. Again, back-to-back bounce outs to the pitcher by Nia Carter, and with 2 outs, brings up Denali Lecker. Lecker 1 for 2 on the day. She flew out to right field in her last at-bat and singled and ended up at second base back in the first inning when the Hawks had the bases loaded. Denali with a .288 batting average coming in. 37 of 127 coming into this at-bat. 4 doubles, a triple, and 10 home runs. She's just one of a handful of sophomores in the history of Iowa softball to hit double-digit home runs in her sophomore year. But the Hawks find themselves down 4-0, need base runners, get runs. Here is the 1-0. That's down and away, so 2 balls and no strikes. Denali started in the circle today. She went through 4 at-bats for the Purdue Boilermakers, gave way to Devin Greer, who pitched to 2 batters, gave up 2 hits, and Denali Lecker was brought back out in the circle, and she finished off the top of the 5th. Here is the 2-0 tour that's upstairs, so it's 3 balls and no strikes. On the sophomore out of Ogden, just outside of Ames, second-team All-Big Ten performer a year ago, was on the All-Big Ten freshman team. Last year had 10 multi-hit games. 4 of them were 3-hit games and 6 2-hit games. Ahead of the count of 3 balls and no strikes. Here is a pitch that's called strike 1. 3 balls and 1 strike. Denali about mid-season, back on the 27th of February from Cornell through the Southeast Missouri State game or pre-Big Ten conference games, had hit safely in 7 of 8 games. Here's one that she gets around on and will foul it back behind the backstop. While in the Big Ten, started off with Wisconsin here at home. 3 hits in 9 games. Then she went on a 5-game hitting streak. Had at least 1 hit in all 3 games of the Ohio State game and 2 games of the Illinois series. Here's one that she lifts up in the infield. And at second base, drifting over behind first, is Jade Moy to make the out. And that ends the Hawks in the bottom of the 5th inning. We're through 5. And it's Purdue leading Iowa 4-0 as we head into the top of the 6th inning. It'll be Roddy Platusik to begin things off for Purdue when play resumes. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Hi, Hawkeye fans. My name is Denali.
And I'm Briley. And we're members of your Iowa Hawkeye softball team.
Our team is striving to be number 1.
And that's why we trust our vehicles to Iowa City Tire and Service, the #1 automotive shop in Iowa City,
where service actually comes first.
Iowa City Tire and Service, where their customers become friends because they treat you like family. Find them at 410 Kirkwood Avenue or online at ictire.com. Proud sponsors of Hawkeye Softball.
Well, the Iowa baseball team defeated Purdue this afternoon in the first game of the 3-game series, a 5-2 win for Iowa. The Hawkeyes go to 11-5 in the Big Ten, maintain that 4th place standing. The 2 teams will face each other again tomorrow morning, an 11 o'clock start time for that game. It's on the Big Ten Network. 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, Iowa-Purdue in Big Ten baseball. And then Sunday's game will be a 1 o'clock start time. Iowa goes to 27-15 overall, and again 11-5 in the Big Ten. Purdue with a 4-0 lead in the first game of this 3-game series between the Hawks and the Boilermakers in Big Ten softball action. Again, these teams played a year ago in West Lafayette, Indiana. Purdue won the first 2 games, and they were very close, very good games, 4-2 and 5-3. In both games, Iowa had leads that they couldn't sustain. And then Iowa would win the 3rd game 5-4 in 12 innings. Both teams had taken a lead in 2 previous at-bats. I think the regular 7-inning game ended 3-3, and then teams would score to take a lead, and Iowa eventually would score in the top of the 12th inning to win that game 5-3 with 2 runs there, and Purdue did not score. And then Purdue won the 4th game, lost the 4th game 8-2. Denali Lecker with a big weekend for the Hawks last year. Denali back in the circle for the Hawks In this at bat for Purdue in the top of the 6th inning, it's Riley Platusek. And she's down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. Here is the 0-1. That now becomes 1 ball and 1 strike. Platusek, the number 6 hitter in the lineup, senior left fielder, batting .248, 0 for 2 in the day. She 37 of 151, and the 1-1 now becomes 2 balls and 1 strike. Grace Baines at third, Sophia Morris at short, and Sammy Diaz at second with Kalena Burns at first base. Denali Lecker and Marissa Peak, the battery. Moss, Klosterman, Carter, left, center, and right. Here is the 2-1. That becomes 2 balls and 2 strikes on Riley Platusek. Here now is a 2-2 from the sophomore Denali Lecker, right out of the reach of Kalena Burns on a line drive over top of first base. Quickly over to the right field line to pick it up and fire it to second is Nia Carter, but not before Platusek gets a base hit for the Purdue Boilermakers. Five different Purdue Boilermakers have got base hits here today. Platusek, 1 who has 2. Rachel Becker with 3. Alex Echezarreta with 2. 9 hits total for Purdue and a 4-0 lead. Nobody out. And squaring to bunt is Olivia McFadden. She'll bunt it foul. So down on the count at no balls and 1 strike. McFadden at 0 for 2 in the game today. 222 hitter coming into the game, 34 now of 155. 6 doubles, a triple, and a home run to her credit. Has a teammate in Riley Platusek at first base. Nobody out. Here's the 0-1. It's off the plate, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Friday night here in Iowa City, the Coralville area. Coralville Strip a little bit slow of activity. As in downtown Iowa City, it'll be rolling tonight. 1 ball and 1 strike. Squares the bunt. McFadden again. She'll bunt it foul. Of course, finals are up next week. I would assume all the responsible students at the University of Iowa will be studying tonight all weekend long, either at the library or in their dorm room or in their apartment. Get ready for those final tests next week to end this academic year. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Olivia McFadden. Here's the pitch from Denali Lecker to the left of Sophia Mara. She tried to make a play where she could scoop it and touch second. I think she kind of took her eye off of it, and it went underneath her glove.
Number 24, Kaylee Holanda.
We'll see what the official scorer going to give a base hit to Olivia McFadden. That'll move Platusek on to second base and bring up Kaylee Holanda. Holanda, the senior catcher, batting number 8 in the lineup. She is 0 for 2 in the day, fielder's choice in her last at-bat, and grounded out to Grace Baines at third, back in the top of the third. Here is the first pitch to her that she'll ground just to the left of Sammy Diaz, and trying to pick it up and losing it is Nia Carter, but not being able to advance is Platusek from third. So the bases are loaded, nobody out, and it's the number 9 hitter, Kiera Dillon, at the plate, the sophomore center fielder for Purdue. Just hitting those spots in between Iowa defenders is Purdue, and with a 4-0 lead in this first game of the 3-game series. Iowa defense now into that circle as they talk about strategy. Certainly anything on the ground, they got to come home to it. They certainly get the force at home. They can get a force at any bag no matter which way they have to go, but they need to get outs here. As Iowa trails it 4-0. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Purdue with 2 in the 3rd and 2 in the 5th. And up to the plate is a pinch hitter for the Purdue Boilermakers, and it will be Kendall Bailey. And on the first pitch, she'll foul one down the left field line. Kendall Bailey pinch hitting for Kiera Dillon. Kendall, a 188 hitter, making her 47th appearance, 12 hits and 64 at-bats. Has a double to her extra base hits credit. Here's one that inside. I think it hit her on the right arm, and it does. So she'll be hit by a pitch, get an RBI out of it, as Platusik will score from third base, moves everybody up a base. Olivia McFadden goes to third, Kaylee Halata to second, and now Kiera Dillon at first base. And it brings up Big Ten's top hitter, Rachel Becker, the number 2 hitter in the Purdue history, at least to this point. And the bases are still loaded. She's 3 for 3 today, has scored a couple of runs. And with a 5-0 lead, even a single base hit here, a simple base hit, probably will score 2 more, but 1 for sure, and offer Purdue some extra runs in this game. So Denali Lecker will come out of the game, it looks as if, and they're going to bring in Brianna Vasquez to pitch to Rachel Becker and anybody beyond. Still nobody out in Purdue's top of the 6th inning. Iowa baseball today, the Hawks defeat the Purdue Boilermakers by the score of 5-2, taking game 1 of the 3-game series. Game 2 tomorrow will be at 11 a.m. It's on the Big Ten Network. That's going to be an early start for Iowa-Purdue baseball tomorrow, but a big game, especially for the Hawks, as they are still in the running for postseason play beyond the Big Ten tournament. So we wish Rick Heller and staff and players best of luck against the Purdue Boilermakers. Brianna Vasquez now will come into the circle for Iowa. Brianna making her 33rd appearance. She has 26 starts on the season. She's thrown 112 and a third innings, giving up 139 hits, 88 runs, 76 of them earned. She got 4.74 ERA. She's walked 53 batters, struck out 89, and she will inherit a bases-loaded situation from Denali Lecker. See if she can pitch her way through this. Hawk infield gets some outs. So the defense is in a couple of steps to that infield as they got to get that play to the plate, get a force. Rachel Becker steps to the plate. See if Brianna Vasquez can slip some pitches past her. Just not ready for. Brianna is transfer out of Central Florida. Senior, here is the first pitch to her. It's called strike 1. Rachel Becker making her throw that first pitch strike. Becker coming in, leading the Big Ten and hitting at .421. All Big Ten a year ago. Here's the 0-1 to her. She hits down the right field first base line and foul, an off-speed pitch, and she gets around on. That's something that Brianna Vasquez has mastered, is the ability to have 2 or 3 different types of velocity-changing pitches. I've seen her freeze batters at the plate numerous times. Hit lots of foul balls and easy pop-ups. Not an overpowering pitcher, but does have good movement and change the velocity on those pitches. Here is the 0-2 that's upstairs. Rachel holds off. So 1 ball and 2 strikes on the senior shortstop from Lindenhurst, Illinois, outside of Chicago. Here's the 1-2 from Brianna Vasquez. Pitch that Becker takes a swing at and misses and strikes out. That is a big out, folks. Take the bat out of her hands. Not having any chance to do any more damage in this inning that have bases loaded. So Alex Etchezarreta will come to the plate. No more easier task. She 2 for 2 on the day with a walk. She scored a run in her last at-bat, part of the 2 runs in that top of the 5th inning. Still has bases loaded. Kendall Bailey at first, Kaylee Halata at second, and Olivia McFadden at third. 1 out. Here's the first pitch from Brianna Vasquez to Etcha Soretta. It's outside, ball 1. Alex with now 41 hits and 119 at-bats. She's got 10 doubles, but she has hit 7 home runs, leads this team in home run hitting. So Brianna going to have to be very careful with her. Here's the 1-0, an off-speed pitch called strike 1. Good off-speed pitch there by Brianna Vasquez. Vasquez's last appearance in the circle was in the third game of the Northwestern Series last Sunday, where she went 1 in the third innings. 4 hits, gave up 3 runs, all 3 earned. Here's the 1-1 to Etcha Soretta. It's outside, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Her last start came against Iowa State. Actually, it was the first game of the Northwestern Series last Friday when she went 6 innings. Getting some time in the circle now. She replaces Denali Lecker. Here's the 2-1 to Etcha Soretta, a pitch that's up and away. So it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Bases full of Boilermakers. They've already got a run in here in this top of the 6th inning. Lead it 5-0 over the Hawks, and just 1 out. Alex Etcha Soretta, the number 2 hitter in the lineup, at the plate. Here's the 3-1 from Brianna Vasquez, one that Etcha Soretta will get around on and foul it back behind the backstop. So a 3-ball and 2 strike count on the senior designated player. Been in the circle this entire game for Purdue. Here comes the 3-2 from Brianna Vasquez. And it's one that Etcha Soretta will hit right to Sophia Morris. She's going to go home, get the force. Try to get Etcha Soretta at first. They do not, but they get the force at home on Olivia McFadden. Nice play by Sophia Morris to come in and make the play. That is the 2nd out of the inning in the Boilermakers' top of the 6th. And it brings up Tarina Jones. Hit a sac fly to Brady Klosterman in her last at-bat. Struck out in her second at-bat and was hit on a fielder's choice in her first at-bat. Here's the first pitch from Brianna Vasquez. It's called strike 1 on the outside corner. Jones at .239 coming into the game. 16 hits. And now 70 at-bats. This is her 71st at-bat on the season. Down to the count at no balls and a strike. Here's the pitch from Brianna Vasquez. A swing and a miss, an off-speed pitch by Brianna. Gets Jones out in front of it. So Tarina Jones is down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes. Bases loaded, 2 gone. Purdue's top of the 6th. They lead it 5-0. Here is the 0-2 from Vasquez. Jones won't chase it outside, so it's no balls and 2 strikes. Vasquez's 2 best years at Central Florida, 2019 and 2020. 2020, of course, the pandemic year. Here's the 1-2 to Jones, a swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch. So that will end Purdue in this top of the 6th inning. Leave the bases loaded. They do get a run, an insurance run, to take a 5-0 lead into the bottom of the 6th inning. And the Hawks, when they come to the plate, will have the number 4 hitter in Kalena Burns. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
There's a sense of pride that comes from the life of a farmer. How many people can say they have a famous tan named after them, or be known for their wave when they drive past neighbors and strangers alike on a 2-lane road? Whether it's a farmer's tan or the farmer's wave, we are proud to be known for a lot of things. We feel that pride every night at the dinner table, knowing we feed our family and yours. Iowa Corn is proud to be on the sidelines cheering on the Iowa Hawkeyes. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
Iowa City Tire and Service is a proud supporter of Hawkeye Softball. Find Iowa City Tire at 410 Kirkwood Avenue in Iowa City, just off of Gilbert Street, or online at ictire.com. Iowa City Tire, where service actually comes first. I want to thank Andy Miller for the time he spent with me last week and the interview talking about their support of University of Iowa athletics and especially University of Iowa softball as Iowa City Tire sponsoring today's Iowa Hawkeye softball game in Game 1 against the Purdue Boilermakers. And Purdue with the 5-0 lead as we head into the bottom of the 6th inning. Kalena Burns will get it started for the Hawks. Kalena on the day 0 for 2. A couple of pop-ups. See if she can't get that changed in this at-bat. Kalena 2 for 4 in the Northern Iowa game Wednesday at 3 runs batted in. Here is the first pitch from Alex Echezarreta. And it's down and in on Kalena. 1 ball and no strikes. Had 2 hits in the Northwestern series. 5 official at-bats, but she walked twice and was hit by 2 pitches. Hit by a pitch in 2 different at-bats. So she didn't have those official at-bats. She did have a couple of hits in game number 2. Really was bashing the ball all over the outfield or the out of play area. Just couldn't keep those things fair. Here's the 2-0 from Echezarreta. Pitch that is off the plate. So 3-0 on the junior first baseman, Kalena Burns. Junior out of Corona, California, outside the Bay Area of San Francisco. Here's the 3-0 from Alex Echezarreta, called strike 1 in the inside corner. Last year, Kalena hit .238 with 24 hits and 101 at-bats. She started 31 of the 39 games played. Iowa played a total of 44, going 26-18 in that Big Ten season. Kalena with 4 doubles and 4 home runs for extra base hits. Here is the 3-1 off the plate. She doesn't go for it. And so Kalena Burns will draw an opening at-bat walk here for the Hawks in bottom of the 6th inning. Bring up Sophia. Sophia singled in her last at-bat and was stuck at third base. She walked in her first at-bat, so 1 for 1 on the day is Sophia. She comes in with a .293 batting average, is now 27 of 93. 5 doubles to her credit. Nobody out, has a teammate in Kalena Burns at first base. It's a lovely day here in Iowa City. The sun's been out the entire game. You can see clouds around, but Zoe Schulte will come in and run for Kalena Burns. And I believe today is Zoe's birthday. I think I was seeing on Twitter. They're wishing her a happy birthday. By golly, it is. May 6th. Born in 2002. Makes her 20 years old today. My grandson as well. 19 today on the 6th of May. Happy birthday to Tyson. And the first pitch to Sophia Morris is up and away. It's called strike 1. Zoe pinch running for Kalena Burns in the bottom of the 6th inning. Zoe has done that a number of times this season. She's had a couple of starts for Renee Gillespie, but has been primarily a pinch runner. Here is the 0-1 that's upstairs, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Didn't play in the Northern Iowa game. Let me check that to be sure. She did not pinch run in the Northern Iowa game. Her last appearance came in the 2nd game of the Northwestern series where she had a pinch running role. Nothing happened out of it, but her pinch running role in the first game back on Friday the 29th ended up in a run scored for her. So Zoe on the season scored 10 runs. This is her 28th appearance. 1 ball and 2 strikes now on the junior Sophia Morris, shortstop out of Johnston, just outside of Des Moines. Making her way to the University of Iowa through Des Moines Area Community College. And a pitch that's up and away, so 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out. Iowa's bottom of the 6th. Zoe Schulte pinch running for Kalena Burns, who just earned a walk in the leadoff spot of the bottom of the 6th inning. Iowa trails 5-0. Needs lots of base runners, get those runners across the plate. Here's the 2-2, and it hits Sophia Morris in the back. And she could feel that one for sure. Hit her right directly in the middle of the back. So she's walking slowly down to first base. And for Echezarreta, it's the second batter that she's hit with a pitch today. And on the season, that makes number 15 for her. As the infield comes in and has a talk in the circle, and they're still looking at Sophia Morris down the first base line. Athletic trainer out there putting her through a battery of tests. I think she's going to be okay. And will step on first base. It does move Zoe Schulte on to second. Iowa needs these things to happen here today. And this at bat, Sammy Diaz, the scheduled batter, she will be hit for by Tristan Doster, freshman from Fort Dodge. Tristan hasn't played since the third game of the Northwestern series. That on Sunday she caught it. She was the catcher for that game. She did get a base hit in the game. Pinch hitting here today. She's done that. This will be her fourth pinch hitting role in the season. The last one came at Illinois in the first game on Friday, April 22nd. And she had no result from that. Here she is, the freshman pinch hitting for Sammy Diaz. And the first pitch to her is down and in, so 1 ball and no strikes. Tristan Doster, a .272 hitter with 25 hits and 92 at-bats. 5 doubles, a triple. She's hit 5 home runs. She has the long ball potential. Here is the 1-0 to her that is down and in, so, hit that inside corner, so 1 ball and 1 strike. Count even on the freshman, Tristan Doster, out of Fort Dodge. Two-time first-team All-State performer in 5A level. High school, here's one that she'll swing at it, will just dribble it foul. So she's down to the count of the ball and 2 strikes. Holds a high school record for home runs at Fort Dodge. She has most of her starts in the season have come from behind the plate, but she also has started at first base in a couple of games. 2 balls and 2 strikes on her now. Started the season off with 5-game hitting streak. A couple of those games were 2-hit games. And in the Liberty game, hit a first home run of her career. Grand slam home run as the Hawks beat Liberty well back in early February. Here's the 2-2 to her that's down and in. 3 balls and 2 strikes. On the freshman, Tristan Doster. Pinch hitting for Sammy Diaz. It's in the number 6 spot. Grace Baines, the scheduled hitter next. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Here's the 3-2 from Alex Echezarreta. And it's a pitch that Doster goes down for, and she'll swing and miss. It was down and inside on her. She went after it and strikes out. That is just the 3rd strikeout of the game for Alex Echezarreta. And it brings up Grace Baines. Baines was hit by a pitch in her last at-bat. Stranded at first base after that, and she hit a line drive over to short. Rachel Becker at short. Here's 1 out, runners at first and second. Here's the first pitch from Echezarreta to Baines. It's outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Iowa scoreless in the game, trails 5-0. Purdue with 2 runs in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th, and 1 in the top of the 6th inning. An insurance run at this point, making it that much more difficult for Iowa to come from behind to win. Here's the 1-0 from Echezarreta to Baines out to right field. It's a fair ball inside the right field line. Coming around first or third to score, Zoe Schulte moves Sophia Morris from first to third. And a single for Grace Baines down the right field line. And the Hawks get on the board here in this bottom of the 6th inning to make it a 5-1 game on an RBI single from Grace Baines. Head coach Boo D'Olivero is going to bring in a relief pitcher, it looks like to me. And it's Brenna Smith going to move into the circle for the Purdue Boilermakers. Got to give Alex Etchezarreta some credit, though. She pitched a nice ball game, even up to this point, holding the Hawks runners on base from keeping to get across the plate to score. So Brenna Smith will be in the circle, making her 30th appearance. She has started 14 games on the season, the second most to Etchezarreta's 16. Smith with 93 1/3 innings pitched, so she no stranger to the circle. She's given up 120 hits, 67 runs, 53 of them earned, and a 3.97 ERA. Brenna Smith has walked 24 batters and struck out 36 as she appears here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Brenna Smith, a senior from Riverside, California, in the circle for the Purdue Boilermakers. And Alex Etchezarreta, which is her good luck. And Etchezarreta will jog off the field into the Purdue dugout. Certainly going to get a lot of high fives from teammates and coaches for the performance. She threw a 4-hitter up to this point. I think De Oliveira wanted to give the Hawkeyes just someone else to look at here and get adjusted to. Runners will be at the corners when Brenna Smith will pitch to Marissa Peak. Peak had a sacrifice fly in her last at-bat and flew out to right field in her first at-bat. Has teammates at the corners, first and third, 1 out, and a Purdue 5-1 lead in the bottom of the 6th inning. Here comes the first pitch from Brenna Smith. And Peak will hit it, lift it to the infield. Rachel Becker behind third base will make the catch. And that is out number 2. Roddy Moss steps to the left-handed batter's box. Freshman out of Muscatine. Roddy grounded out to second in her last at-bat, singled in her first at-bat back in the bottom of the 2nd inning. The number 9 hitter in the lineup. See if the Hawks can get her on base, move another runner across, and get to the top of the order here in this bottom of the 6th inning. Here's the first pitch from Brenna Smith to Moss. She looks at it, and it's away, so it's ball 1. And in the meantime, Grace Baines will head down to second base with a stolen base. Only the 3rd steal of the year for Grace in the 4th attempt. So runners at second and third and 2 outs, and a 1-0 count to the freshman Riley Moss. Riley got a hit in the Northwestern game. She was 0 for 2 in the Northern Iowa game on Wednesday, and there's a pitch that's up and in on her, so now it's 2 balls and no strikes. Riley facing Brenna Smith. Smith, the senior, in the circle. She just came in for Alex Etchezarreta. So the last hit for Roddy Moss came in the first game of the Northwestern series when she was 1 for 3. Here is the 2-0. That's a pitch that she takes a slap swing at and misses, so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Grace Baines at second. Sophia Morris at third base. 2 outs in Iowa's bottom of the 6th inning, a 2-1 count on the freshman Roddy Moss, the number 9 hitter in the lineup. Here's the pitch from Brenna Smith, one that she hits just over top of third, coming in from left field to make the catch. Playing her nicely and very shallow. Coming in to make the catch from left field is Raleigh Platusik, and that will end the Hawks here in the bottom of the 6th inning. They get a couple runners on. They do get one across, but they trail, the Hawks do, 5-1 to Purdue as we head into the top of the 7th inning. When we return, it'll be Jade May, the number 4 hitter for Purdue. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Have you heard about this new type of television experience from Epson? It's called the Epic Vision Ultra Laser Projection TV. It combines a new type of laser projection technology along with a unique Epson Silverflex screen to produce an epic 120-inch 4K Pro UHD picture that's up to 4 times bigger than a traditional 60-inch TV. There's no better way to watch live sports, and watching Iowa basketball play live on this big bright TV is simply awesome. If you're a sports fanatic like me, you need to check this new Epson TV out for yourself. Visit Epson.com/TV to learn more.
So tomorrow will be the 50-minute walk as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX. It's Hawkeyes Hawk Walk on the Francis Kretzmeyer track, which is just outside of the Bob Pearl softball field, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Registration $50 for adults, $25 for students, college and high school. And if you want to band together up to 15, you can do it for $500. Get a little bit of a discount, but the money raised to for the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Youth ages 12 and under are free. And fans attending the walk will receive a free ticket to the softball game tomorrow. That's game number 2 of Iowa and Purdue. It begins at 2 o'clock. So Jade Moy will step to the right-handed batter's box. Squares the bunt, pulls it back, and looks at strike 1. Moy with a sacrifice fly to center field, her last at bat. Singled a 2 RBI single in her second at bat and flew out to Nia Carter in right field in her first at bat. Having a very productive 3 RBI day is Jade Moy, a freshman second baseman. Purdue leads it 5-1. This is the top of the 7th inning. And a 1-1 count on the freshman Jade Moy. Freshman out of Bradenton, Florida. Here's the 1-1 off-speed pitch from Brianna Vasquez. And so it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Vasquez also had a relief role in the May 1st game, as I talked about her last appearance. Here's the 2-1 to Moy. It's inside, so 3 balls and 1 strike. So a 3-1 count on the freshman Moy. Right-handed hitter. Here's the 3-1 from Brianna Vasquez, one that's lifted beyond second base, coming in from right field, Nia Carter to make the play on the high fly. And that's 1 out in the top of the 7th inning. Ryan Ross, the freshman first baseman, 0 for 3 on the day. 2 ground outs, and she reached on an error in her first at-bat. 1 out, 5-1 the lead for Purdue. Brianna Vasquez in the circle. Here's the pitch from Vasquez, one that's Ross will look at it and be a strike on the inside corner. So 0-1 on Ryan Ross. Freshman from Bentonville, Arkansas. Here's an off-speed pitch. Ross really started to swing it hard, had to hold up, and then try to pick up some power on that swing and fouls it into the backstop. Again, Brianna Vasquez really doing a nice job of mixing up pitches, slowing down the velocity on those pitches and getting the batters to lean forward, get that swing started, and then not have much power when they do swing. Here is the 0-2, and one that she throws past Ryan Ross, and so it's 2 gone and a strikeout for Brianna Vasquez. That's the 3rd strikeout for Vasquez in this appearance that started back in the top of the 6th inning. She came in to relieve Denali Lecker and promptly struck out 2 of the last 3 batters in that inning. 2 gone, and it's Roddy Platusik at the plate for Purdue, the senior left fielder. Singled and scored in their last at-bat. Singled in her second at-bat and grounded out in her first at-bat. 2 for 3 on the day is Palusic, coming in with a .248 average. Now 39 and 52 at-bats. Here's the 0-1. She check swing and a foul into the backstop, so she's down on the count at no balls and 2 strikes. Palusic with 7 doubles, 2 triples, and has hit 3 home runs on the season. 2 gone and Purdue's top of the 7th inning. When Iowa comes to the plate, it'll be the top of the order for Iowa and Briley Klosterman. Here's the 0-2 from Brianna Vasquez, an off-speed pitch that Platusik will just barely catch the softball on that pitch. She gets ahead on that swing, but she gets just enough of it to foul it back. So no balls and 2 strikes. Here's the 0-2 from Brianna Vasquez. And it's a pitch, strike 3. Nice pitch by Brianna. Strikes out 2 of the 3 outs in this top of the 7th inning. Hawks need 4 to send it to extra innings, 5 to win as we head into the bottom of the 7th inning. This is Iowa Hawkeye Softball on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.
Anything can happen when the Cyclones and Hawkeyes come to compete. It's where the rubber meets the road. Neighbors become rivals and friends become foes. Some go home broken-hearted, while others are victorious. When the dust finally settles, one thing stands true. No matter which side you're on, you're part of tradition. For those who are Iowan through and through, we're Iowa Corn, a proud sponsor of the Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series. In Iowa, we grow corn, but the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
And that Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series went to Iowa State this year. The Cyclone softball team defeated Iowa last Wednesday by the score of 5-4. So Iowa State wins it 14-11 on the season, and the 2022-23 academic season Iowa Corn Cy-Hawk Series will begin in early September when the Hawks and the Cyclones face off in football. University of Iowa Sports Medicine delivers comprehensive care for competitive and recreational athletes of all ages. Our team of orthopedic surgeons, physicians, and specialists are committing to reducing pain and injury through our advanced training and experience. Same-day, next-day appointments available, no referral needed. Learn more by visiting uihc.org/sportsmedicine. So Brodie Klosterfield will step to the plate for the Hawks. Here in the bottom of the 7th inning, she'll look at a first pitch strike. Brodie on the day has been quieted by Purdue pitching, 0 for 3. Line drive to a pop-up, that is, to Alex Echezarreta in her last at-bat. Popped up to second base and left field in her 2 other at-bats. So she looks at a pitch here. It's called strike 2. So Brodie Klosterman, the sophomore from North Liberty, prepping at Iowa City Liberty High School, down to the count at no balls and 2 strikes. This is the bottom of the 7th inning. Purdue leads it 5-1. Here's the 0-2 from Brenna Smith, and it's now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Brenna again making her 30th appearance. She's started 14 games. She does have 1 complete game thrown on the season. Here's the 1-2 from Smith on Brodie Klosterman. It's upstairs, so 2-2. Brodie at 266 coming into the game. Certainly that's going to drop. She's 37 now of 142 at-bats. 37 hits. She has 8 doubles and a couple of home runs. Just needing to get on base here in this at-bat. Here's the 2-2 from Brenna Smith, one that is fouled into the backstop by Brodie Klosterman. Getting around on the pitch. Brodie with a hit in the Northern Iowa game on Wednesday. Prior to that, she did not get a hit in the last 2 games of the Northwestern Series. Did get a single in the first game and a walk. And the 2-2 now becomes 3 balls and 2 strikes, a pitch that's called ball 3. But Brodie walked 3 times in that Northwestern Series, so she was on base quite a bit, just not by a base hit. Here's the 3-2 from Brenna Smith, a pitch that Brodie will hit right at second base, scooped and thrown out at first. Nice play over there by Jade Moy, and it's 1 gone in Iowa's bottom of the 7th inning. Nia Carter hitting .401 coming into the game after going 4 for 4 in the Northern Iowa game on Wednesday. She is 0 for 3 today, has bounced back to the pitcher twice and reached on an error in her first at-bat and was stranded at first base back in the bottom of the 1st inning when the Hawks had the bases loaded. Here's the first pitch from Brenna Smith, the pitch that's off the plate. It's Nia looked to bunt, pulled back the bat, and she's ahead of the count at 1 ball and no strikes. Nia reached base in a variety of ways on Wednesday. A couple of drag bunts. She did hit one to the outfield on a normal swing. Here is the 1-0. It becomes 1 ball and 1 strike. Nia with 61 hits now and 155 at bats. 4 doubles and 3 triples. And the count even at 1-1. Here's the pitch from Brenna Smith, one that she hits right at third base, and a nice play. Good scoop over there by Olivia McFadden. She had to backhand it. She was about 2 strides down the line at third and in one step. And Iowa down to its last out of the game with Denali Lecker. Denali popped up to second base. Her last at bat, flew out to right field in her second at bat and singled and was left at second base in her first at bat. Back in the first inning, part of that bases loaded situation for the Hawks where they didn't get a run in. 2 gone, here's the first pitch, and it is a ball upstairs to Denali Lecker. Denali started in the circle today, was relieved by Devin Greer for 2 batters, and then returned to the circle, and then was relieved by Brianna Vasquez back in the 6th inning. Ahead in the count at a ball and no strikes. Here's the pitch from Brenna Smith, one that she gets around on and dribble it down the third base line and foul. Looks like it hit her in the batter's box. Bounced it off of her foot. So the count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Tomorrow's Alumni Day here at Bob Pearl Field, honoring the 25th anniversary of the 1997 team that went to the College World Series, finishing in 5th place that season. Gail Blevins in attendance here today. Hopefully good chance to get Gail Blevins up here to speak with her. Here's the 1-1 that's down and in on Denali Lecker. Gail's got that program started here at the University of Iowa and had some great seasons in her 20-plus years that she spent here building this program and this softball field. Here's the 2-1 that is fouled back behind the backstop. So 2 balls and 2 strikes on the sophomore, Denali Lecker. 2 gone, 5-1 the lead for Purdue. This is the bottom of the 7th inning. Brenna Smith in the circle for Purdue. Here's the 2-2 from her to Denali Lecker, down and in. 3 balls and 2 strikes. We'll see what Brenna Smith brings to Denali Lecker. Maybe she'll put one out over the plate. Denali with some good bat speed and strong swing. She likes to put that ball out in the outfield. Here's a swing and a foul back in the backstop. Pitch was down and in on Denali. She's just able to catch enough of that pitch to foul it to remain alive in this at bat. Denali at 288 coming into the game. Again, 1 for 3, so 37 of 128 at bats. Here's the 3-2 again for Brenna Smith. Denali again will rip it right down to third base, and Olivia McFadden picks it up and across the diamond. And that, my friends, will end the bottom of the 7th inning and this softball game. The Purdue Boilermakers will win it 5-1, scoring 2 in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th, and 1 in the 6th. Iowa did get 1 run in the bottom of the 6th inning and couldn't do anything here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Iowa goes to 2-19 in the Big Ten.
Any trash or recycling in its proper receptacles is a great help to our facilities team. For those interested in playing catch on the field,
and the Purdue Boilermakers will go to 6-14 in the Big Ten as we approach Game 2 tomorrow. We'll have a chance to speak with head coach Renee Gillespie after she addresses her softball team. We'll get her up here and chat with her and get ready for Game number 2 tomorrow with a 3-game series. Today, Purdue wins it 5-1. Get a good pitching performance from Alex Echezarreta, who gave up just 4 hits in the game today. That's all the Iowa could muster up. But Iowa did get a number of runners on base, and again, that has been a lot of the problem for the Hawks this softball season, is getting runs across the plate on a timely basis. Loses it today 5-1. Game number 2 tomorrow will be at 2 o'clock. That'll be after the Hawkeyes walk that will begin a little bit before the softball game, the 50-minute walk. It's Hawkeyes Hawk Walk at Kretzmeyer Track just outside of Bob Pearl Field. It's a 50-minute walk, and then those who are involved in the walk will receive a free ticket to the softball game. Registration is $50 for adults, $25 for students, college and high school age. And if you want to band together and get up a team of 15 people, you get a little bit of a discount. It'll be $500 for a team of 15. That's the Hawkeyes Hawk Walk tomorrow to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX. A win for the Boilermakers in game number 1 of the 3-game series, 5-1. Game number 2 tomorrow will begin at 2 o'clock. Have that beyond talking to you a little bit before the hour of 2 o'clock. I'm Jerry Koala. We'll await the arrival of head coach Renee Gillespie to talk about this game with the Purdue Boilermakers. Head coach Renee Gillespie making her way up here to talk with me about this game against the Purdue Boilermakers. Game number 1 of the 3-game series was the Hawks lost by the score of 5-1. Good pitching performance for the Purdue Boilermakers and Alex Echezarreta. She went 5 1/3 innings, gave up 4 hits. The only run, it was earned. She walked a couple batters and struck out 4. Denali Lecker went the 5 innings, gave up 9 hits, 3 runs, and 3 of them were earned. And head coach Renee Gillespie is with me now again. Just I think the opportunities that just the Hawks didn't take advantage of, especially in that bottom of the first inning when you had the bases loaded.
Yeah, that's what we figure out 54 times this season that we've had that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it is. It's been kind of something that we've been dealing with all season long, is just that clutch hitting. We've had runners in scoring position, one out in 2 different situations, and just didn't get a chance to get that clutch hit. But we saw good hitting. Denali had some good hits, good solid hits. Maris was hitting the ball hard. We are seeing the ball hitting them hard at people, and they did a good job of defensively of keeping us down.
And in the circle, you thought Denali, and you put a lot of faith in her. The girl, she does give up a lot of hits, but is able to find her way out of some of those situations.
She does, and it takes a good defense behind her to do that. And you made some great plays, and we had some plays that we could have stopped a couple of ground balls we felt got through the infield that we should have had. But then Bree came in, and Bree closed them down. I loved her coming in and the fire she had to close out those last couple innings.
It's interesting, and I've been watching her all season long, or the times that I've been broadcasting the game for half the season. She really does a nice job. She's not an overpowering pitcher, but can throw the power pitch, but she really has good control of those off-speed pitches.
She does. And you're talking about Bree.
Bree, yes.
Yeah, she's been really working hard on getting that changeup down a little bit more. Her rise ball is always solid, and she's got a backdoor curve and a screw that she works a lot on right now, and she's kind of perfecting those right now. But she's really been working hard on that changeup, and so she can kind of keep them off balance. And as the season went on, she's been getting stronger and stronger with that.
So game number 2 tomorrow with the Purdue Boilermakers. It's Alumni Day here at the university, and they're going to be recognizing the 25th anniversary of the College World Series team in 1997.
Yeah, we're so excited about being able to celebrate that and bringing our alumni back. We always love having them back, and we got to have a win for our alumni. That's our goal, is to win for our fans and make Iowa proud.
Had a chance to speak with Gail Blevins prior to this game just to say hello. I was able to broadcast one of the seasons that she one of her last years when she was coaching here. So she's a coach and a person that you probably have gotten to know fairly well since you've been back here. But I think even in probably the years that you've been coaching, you knew who she was and got to know her a little bit.
Everybody knew who Gail was, and even as a young coach, kind of going through the system. I started late in my coaching career, so she was already well established and going to the World Series, and she was someone that we really, as young coaches, as I should say, I was young in age, but young as a coach. But young and as a coach is just knowing the way that she handled herself and how she approached umpires and how she was always a class act everywhere she went. And she definitely was a mentor to a lot of coaches.
All right, head coach Renee Gillespie. We've got game number 2 tomorrow against the Purdue Boilermakers. Got to come back and take that game away from that Boilermaker team.
That's right. We'll do our best and make Iowa proud.
All right. Hey, Coach Renee Gillespie here talking about this game with the Purdue Boilermakers, in which the Boilermakers would win the game 5-1. And again, it was the pitching of Alex Echezarreta, 5 1/3 innings. She gave up 4 hits, only 1 run, the only run that was scored for the Hawks, and it was earned. She walked 2, struck out 4. Denali Lecker in the circle at 5 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, all were earned. She walked 1, struck out 1, and facing 25 batters, throwing 74 pitches. Devin Greer came in, just faced 2 batters, gave up 2 hits. She gave up 2 runs, both were earned. And then Brianna Vasquez, as Coach Gillespie alluded to, that Brianna Vasquez did come in and did a nice job the last 2 at-bats for Purdue. Gave up no hits, no runs at all. She struck out 4 batters. But Iowa was able only to muster 4 hits on the day. Denali Lecker with a hit, Sophia Morris with a hit out to left field, Grace Baines with a hit down the right field line, and Rowdy Moss got a base hit. Again, Iowa were left on base today. The Hawks left 8 runners on base, and probably half of them were in scoring position to help the Hawks add runs to their total here today. Purdue with 11 hits on the day, Rachel Becker with 3, Alex Echezarreta with 2, and Rade Platusik with 2. 5-1 the win for Purdue over Iowa here this afternoon. We'll have the game number 2 tomorrow, a little bit before the hour of 2 o'clock, as it's Alumni Day. And again, the University of Iowa recognizing the 1997 team 25th anniversary of the team that went to the College World Series, and hopefully, again, we'll get a chance to talk to Gail Blevins. I'm Jerry Kowala. Thanks for tuning in here this afternoon for this game. Unfortunately, a loss for the Hawks, 5-1 to the Purdue Boilermakers. Game number 2 tomorrow, a little bit before the hour of 2 o'clock. Have yourself a great Friday night. We'll talk to you tomorrow a little bit before the hour of 2 o'clock right here on the Hawkeye Sports Radio Network YouTube channel from Learfield.